And welcome to our October presentation. As Sarah said, it's the Camino in 2023. So everybody's now getting ready for the 2023 season, and we're getting lots of bookings in already for 2023. So yep, when Sarah's ready, we will start off the presentation. And as Sarah said, you can ask us lots of questions at the end, type them in, or we can have a chat at the very end. So please enjoy.
Yep, great. All right. So the Camino in 2023 is the focus of today's webinar. We're going to show you some of the routes and give you some general advice about times of the year to go and packing lists and such. All right. So a little bit about us first. Jeremy is going to let us know, as he's been here quite a while.
Yep. So at CaminoWays, we offer essentially walking and cycling packages on the Camino de Santiago and also on the Via Francigena, which is the Camino to Rome. On the routes, you can do guided or self-guided. So guided, we have group tours that will depart on specific dates on specific routes, and you can get all the information on our guided tours on CaminoWays.com. Just look for the guided tours. And self-guided is what most people do, and that means that you guide yourself. We provide you with the accommodation and the luggage transfer, which people love us for. So the accommodation starts generally at 2 to 3 star level. They're all private ensuite bathrooms in hotels on the route, which are specifically selected by us. Luggage transfer essentially is what it is. We pick up your main bag in the hotel and bring it to your next hotel while you walk the route on that particular day. And so it's a very, very handy service. And then we also offer, while you're en route, we have a 24-hour support number. If you have any issues with the check-in or with the hotels or with your luggage transfer or with anything in regards to the tour, you can give our team a call 24/7. We work with individuals and we work with groups as well. So generally, most people will contact us, and if you're 1, 2, 4, 6, 8 people, we'll put that package together for you, specifically in the location, starting in the location of your choice, and obviously finishing in the location of your choice, and all that comes in between us. So our packages can run from anything from 5, 6, 7 days, which would be quite typical, over a specific section of one of the routes, usually at least 100 kilometers. Or then we have people who will book whole routes with us. So let's say the French Way, 4 or 5 weeks walking 760 kilometers, and they'll book the whole thing. So it's really about what you want to do, telling us what you want, and then we'll put the package together for you, or you can actually design it yourself on our website and talk to one of our experts about your package and make any changes, add any additional services that we can. Yeah, so that's about it. So as I said, we have these are all the routes we work with on the Camino de Santiago. As I said, we also work in the Via Francigena, which is in Italy, but we'll talk about the Camino. First off, so the most popular route is in the big in France, the Camino Franchise. You might wonder why it's called the Camino Franchise, specifically because it starts in Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, which is just across the border in France. And you spend the first day walking across the Pyrenees to a place called Roncesvalles. And then that continues along the kind of the mid-northern Rioja Basque region of Spain, eventually arriving in Galicia and finishing in Santiago de Compostela. So that's a fantastic route. And then the second most popular route would be the Portuguese Way. That starts in Lisbon, works its way up to Porto, and then on to Santiago de Compostela. I have to say that the route from Lisbon to Porto is very challenging, not very well walked, not very well marked. But we do have quite a few people who do like to walk that route, but it's definitely for the more seasoned walkers. But the section from Porto to Santiago is fantastic, and it does travel along the coast for a lot of it. So you get that kind of coastal scenery and experience in those lovely towns in Portugal and fantastic fresh seafood. And then it cuts in towards Santiago de Compostela. Then we have the Northern Way, which tracks along the north coast of Spain, San Sebastian, again through the Basque region. So San Sebastian, Santander, Oviedo, Lugo. Really amazing route, quite challenging as well. But again, a lot of it by the coast, and then before you cut into Santiago. And then we have the Camino Inglés, or the English Camino, the English Way, where it starts in Ferrol. And why do we call it the English Camino? Because a lot of people from England and Ireland actually would have sailed across the Bay of Biscay and landed in Ferrol and then walked the route from Ferrol down to Santiago de Compostela, hence it's known as the English Way. The Via de la Plata, we don't do from Seville, but we do the last 100 kilometers. And that's coming up through central Spain, Salamanca. Very, very few people walk this route as a whole, but definitely the last 100 kilometers from Orense, which is just south of Santiago and into Santiago de Compostela, is stunning. It's a really stunning route. Not very well walked, but I would advise anyone, if somebody's looking for something different, a bit of a different Camino, to have a look at that. So in brief, that's that. About 10,000 kilometers all told there. It's there's plenty to choose from.
Lots to keep you busy for multiple Caminos. So we're going to look at the Camino in 2023. So I'm sure some of you are aware that 2021 and was a whole year, and then it was extended into 2022. So the Camino is just coming off 2 really busy years. So 2023 is going to be basically a return to the normal post-pandemic, even the pre-pandemic Camino. So it's a great way to have a more peaceful Camino experience without the chaos of Holy Year. And it gives you an opportunity to discover something new, maybe a new route that you hadn't thought of before. And it's just a great opportunity to get back to nature, which is what we're going for. And so looking at the—
Just on that, sorry, can you just go back to that? Sorry, Sarah.
No
just to add to that, just that kind of, I suppose, to expand on that a little bit and explain. I mean, yes, so obviously, we come through the global emergency, which was the COVID pandemic, and travel was shut down. And we had a bit of a perfect storm where, it was the Holy Year, which was extended into this year as well. Plus, we had everybody who wished to go in the Camino. And on top of that, we had everybody who had also booked during the period that travel had closed down, and they were coming back to the Camino to travel on that. So I think people would have heard or read a lot of stories on forums, on websites about how busy the Camino was this year. It actually was, but a lot of it was down to the fact that it was the Holy Year. Plus we had everybody who had booked during COVID now traveling. And on top of that, we had all the people who were traveling naturally anyway. So it really was a busy and challenging year this year in the Camino. And that's why we see it returning to normal next year. So it's getting back to nature, getting back to the authentic Camino. We do see it, and we can see the demand for it already, which is returning to normal. But it is still going to be busy. The busy routes, area Santiago and the French Way, any really of the last 100 kilometers into Santiago. So we're always urging people to have a look at some of the other routes as well. So it's there's a lot to do there.
Yeah, great. I agree. So obviously, talking about busyness, there are popular times to travel, but the popular times tend to be the most pleasant. So the best time to walk the Camino, we generally say the autumn and the spring. They have the most pleasant temperatures. Also, all of the services are open. The weather, especially, while there can be the odd shower, you're looking at days of sun. As well, in terms of just natural beauty as well, you've got spring, all the new flowers of the season, and then autumn, obviously the colors as well. So it is they are the most beautiful times to walk. The summer, we wouldn't really recommend it unless you're actually used to the heat, because it can, I'm sure you've experienced wherever you're from this summer, the heat was quite intense. So if you're hiking, hours a day, if in the summer heat, if you're not used to it, you're going to find that quite challenging. And also the winter is the off season. So services on the quieter routes, they do tend to close down for the winter season. So that is why we would say that autumn and spring, they are the best times to walk the Camino. And it is when a lot of people do choose to walk the Camino as well. Jeremy, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you're like anything from really the end of March right up to the end of June is an excellent time to walk the Camino. July, August, as Sarah said, can get quite warm, but that depends on where you're coming from. If you're from Florida or anywhere the southern states of America, or you're from another warm country, it's actually not warm for you, but for us it is very warm. So your average temperatures in the summer can maybe 30, 35, but the weather is doing some funny things these days. We all know that. So it's very hard to predict what the weather is going to do. There was a big heat wave this year in Spain. So temperatures got up to 40, 45 on some days. But, hopefully we might get some sort of normality on that again this year. And then after the summer, anything from even from kind of the mid-August right down to the end of October, again is fantastic. So there's a very long season really, and anything after November, December, you're really only talking about kind of the last 100 kilometers into Santiago, because all the hotels, a lot of services shut down for their rest and recuperation and a bit of rebuilding. But yeah, so it's yeah. And again, if you're talking to us and you want a bit of advice on the right time for you, let us know what your plans are, and we'll let you know if that's a good plan or not.
Great. Exactly. And the same kind of goes for the packing. So the packing does depend on the time of year that you travel, but there are some key essentials no matter what time of year you're going. For example, always, you can never have too many pairs of socks. Always bring layers, light layers, heavy layers. While we're saying there's pleasant sunny temperatures in the spring and the autumn, there could be rain. You could get cold, especially in the early mornings. So do bring rain jackets as well. If you have a lot of, we'll say, just in case items, we do have luggage transfers. So you don't have to be as strict with your packing. You can bring 20 kgs and you can have it transferred from hotel to hotel. So if you're wondering if you should bring an extra, an extra jumper, an extra 4 pairs of socks, you could have the flexibility to bring that in your suitcase as well. So you don't have to carry it all with you every day as you're walking or cycling. Anything else on that one, Jeremy? Sorry. We do actually have a packing list, fairly extensive packing list, and a packing ebook on our website as well. So do check that out. And obviously, if you have any specific questions, you can ask too.
Yeah, I mean, and that's it. Check out the packing list on our website, CaminoWays.com. I think packing is very personal for people, obviously, specifically around what you wear during the hiking clothes. Most of you would be seasoned hikers, so you know what to wear and what not to wear. And the Camino the route would be classed as a kind of a medium, easy to medium. There's no big inclines or declines. It is always undulating. You're always moving up and down as you would walking through any country. But there's no massive mountains on the Camino, so it's really a trail on a mixture of kind of road, dirt road, and at sometimes there are some parts where it can be quite cobblestony and a little bit rocky. So yeah, that's really the type of route it is. And again, just use us for any questions or discussions that you want to have. You can organize a private chat with us, a video chat as well, so you can talk one-on-one with us and ask us all the questions you want. There's if you're talking to us, we always give you links to set up those meetings.
Great. So now we'll just move. There are 4 routes that we want to highlight for 2023. Maybe you've done one already, or perhaps it's your first time on the Camino. And Jeremy's going to take you through these 4 routes and why you should consider them.
Yep. So we have first here the Camino Franchise, and the Camino Franchise is the most widely known. The French Way, probably most popularly known as, and then as I said earlier, it's known as the French Way because it starts in France, but you very quickly move into Spain on the first day, and you come into just coming into the Rioja region of Basque, and then Rioja region of Spain. Traveling through kind of north central Spain, finishing in Santiago de Compostela. Highlights along the way, definitely the cities, and they're listed there, a lot of them: Pamplona, Logroño, Burgos, Leon, Ponferrada, Sarria, and Santiago de Compostela. And the magical thing about the French Way is that quite a lot of people walk it, therefore there are quite a lot of services on it. So every 10, 15 kilometers, you're going to come across a hostel if you're staying in hostels. And then if you're booking with us, obviously we have hotels on an average 20 kilometers. Now that some days can be longer, some days can be shorter. That's definitely down to geography and where the locations of the towns and villages are. But if we design the itinerary for you, you'll see that on the itinerary. So really is a fantastic challenge. Takes like 4 to 5 weeks, depending if you want to have some rest days. It's about 760 kilometers long. And you get a lot of people doing this full route. again, the beauty about this route is you can pick sections within the route. So if you wanted to maybe walk at the first 120 odd kilometers, you could do Saint Jean Pied de Port to Logroño, or even Saint Jean Pied de Port to Pamplona in 4 days, or Logroño to Burgos in a week, Burgos to Sahagún in a week, and then to Leon. So you can actually break this up into 7 or 8 sections and do it over a period of years. And a lot of people do that with us as well, or even two sections per year. So there's plenty of ways to do this. And if you're not kind of, I suppose, interested in finishing Santiago de Compostela, there's some great walks within that. All of them are very good. The most popular one is Sarriá Santiago, known as the last 100 of the French Way. That can be done in 5, 6, even 10 days walking, if you what we call our kind of easy walking, which brings you down to about an average of 10 kilometers per day. Definitely, this is the most popular. You earn your certificate by walking at least 100 kilometers into Santiago de Compostela. It's very sociable. People say it's very busy, but it's not like walking down a main street of a city or a town. You're all kind of hiking in the same direction. So you'll always have hikers around you, but you're not kind of pushing through hikers or they're in your way. That never happens. And the towns have a great, I suppose, atmosphere of people walking and coming in and kind of finishing their day. So there's always a bit of definitely a bit of atmosphere in the bars, cafes, and in the restaurants in the evening. So it really is very sociable. It's impossible not to meet people pretty much on any part of the Camino, but specifically on Sarriá Santiago. And if you do feel that's something that's too busy for you, as I said, there's plenty of other sections on the French Way that are as good for sure. And on the Sarriá Santiago route, every 2 kilometers, you're going to come across a cafe, a hostel, lots of things going on. So it's really good in that respect. So that's the Camino Franchise.
Great. And our next one is the Camino Portuguese.
Yeah, so the Portuguese Way, as I said, it does go from Lisbon right up to Santiago de Compostela. It is, I would say, challenging to go from Lisbon to Porto, but it's definitely doable. But I definitely think you need to kind of have your seasoned hiking hat on for that one. But what sells very well is the Porto to Santiago de Compostela. Porto to Vigo is 100 kilometers, so that can be done in a week. And Vigo to Santiago again is another 100 kilometers, and that can be done in a week, around 100 kilometers, not exactly. Porto to Vigo is mostly coastal, and so you're trekking along the coast the whole way. So you get stunning scenery, great little villages, fishing villages along the way. You have about 4 or 5 nights before you cross the border into Spain. Sorry, 6 nights before you cross the border in Spain, actually. So it's a Portuguese experience, and fantastic if you like seafood. Excellent. You're going to get it. You're going to get it at night. And with us, if you're booking with us, you can either include dinner or exclude dinner. If you're a small group of people, I usually say maybe exclude dinner, then you can eat a la carte. But if you're a bigger group, maybe it's wiser to have your dinners booked for you. And then the last 100 into Santiago, Vigo to Santiago. A couple of days on the coast, then you start cutting inland to Santiago, so you get a mixture of both. Plus, you get a mixture of the kind of the sea and also the Galician countryside. So you get a good mix of that. So that's a fantastic route as well. So really very popular and growing in popularity. So again, if you didn't want to do the Sarriá Santiago route, this is a very good option for people, and you get to experience the Portuguese culture and the Spanish culture. So that's quite something.
Great. And then we have the Camino del Norte, so the northern coast.
Yeah, so on the Northern Way, probably not as well known, but definitely growing in popularity. But what really, I suppose, highlights this route is that it goes to some fantastic towns. So you've got San Sebastian, Bilbao. You can do that in a week, and that's highlighted here. So San Sebastian, I think, has one of the most high dense populations of Michelin-star restaurants. So it's impossible not to find one, and it's that they're all actually very good value. So for a foodie, this is really the route to do. You're going to have then, instead of having tacos in northern Spain, they have pinchos. It's the same thing, but you can be very you can really feed yourself very well for very little in this area. And Bilbao, Bilbao is a famous city as well. Plenty to see, plenty to do. And there's plenty of great little towns en route that you stop in. Again, you're walking an average about 20 kilometers a day. to do about 5 or 6 days from San Sebastian to Bilbao. And you also get the experience of the coast for a couple of days before you kind of cut inland, when you have the mountains on one side and the sea on the other. So scenery is really fantastic on this route. And again, if you're not that interested in finishing Santiago de Compostela, this is a fantastic route to do. I really would highly recommend it. It's a little bit challenging as well, but that's what we do these things for, and I think that's what people are looking for. So I would definitely highly recommend the Northern Way. There are other sections from the Northern Way. It continues on from Bilbao, of course, brings you all the way to Santiago de Compostela. So again, you have lots of options here to go and see.
Great. And the last one will be especially appealing for people who've already done a Camino. So you can go beyond Santiago on the Camino Finastera.
Yeah, so people always, I suppose a lot of people have the impression that the Camino finishes in Santiago de Compostela, and it does for most people. And in Santiago de Compostela, of course, you have the cathedral where you have the crypt of St. James, who was the apostle of Christ. I'm sure you all know your history, but yes, it's St. James is one of the 12 apostles and who made his way to kind of this area of Europe, and his mission was to change us all into Christians from our Celtic origins and all our Celtic evils. And so Finistère was a very important area for this, because Finistère translated as Land's End. And at this point was seen as the most kind of westerly point. And here was where the world ended. The sun set in the west. There was nothing beyond it. There was no land that could be seen. So a lot of the old Celtics and pagans used to go there and sacrifice and have festivals. And so it really was an important point. And it is said that St. James came to this area, and this is where he started Christianizing everybody, or spreading the word of the gospel, I suppose, to be more precise. So and it is the real end of the Camino. So walking Santiago de Compostela, I think, is a really lovely walk. I don't know if I'm from Ireland and we're based in Ireland, but I don't know if anyone's been to Ireland and been to Connemara or the west coast of Ireland, which is quite rugged and rough. Well, it's quite like this here as well. It's not as rugged as rough as it would be in Ireland, but it's quite similar. It is the western seaboard of Europe. So the Atlantic is there, the ocean is coming in. And so it's very rural as well. So tiny little rural farms you'll get as you leave Santiago and walk through the countryside, and it gets, I suppose, more scenic as you come into Finistère, and it really is quite an emotional place, because you see a lot of people who would have walked hundreds, even thousands of miles across Europe to finish in Finistère, and they'll be sitting on the beach. There is a tradition of people burning boots. I suppose it's becoming a bit controversial these days, because obviously we don't want to see people burning stuff, but it is still a tradition. Some people still do that, and there's a big lighthouse there as well. So it's a lot of history attached to it. Stunning walk, and you can extend the walk. So it's about 4 days walk to Finistère, and you can go another 2 days up to a little town called Muxia, which is just north of Finistère. You can see the blue line going up to Muxia. It's a bit, you can't really see the name Muxia, but it is there. And that's a lovely fishing village as well. So if you want to extend it to a week, perfect to go from Santiago to Finistère and then up to Muxia. Really stunning walk. Again, if you've done the walk into Santiago, this is definitely something for you. But if you're not that interested in finishing the Camino in Santiago, this is another great walk and something to consider.
Great. Thank you for all of that information, Jeremy. It's all very, very interesting. Lots to process there. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now, so if anyone can ask their questions, but just to highlight, especially if you do get our newsletter, you'll already know that if you book now, you can get 10% off your Camino for 2023. And that's if you book now, as in now until the end of 2022. So I do see that we have a chat, but do please ask any questions that you would like to about the Camino. The floor is yours.
Yeah, it's great to see somebody's out hiking while we're chatting. So that's really interesting. So well done, Laura. That's very good.
Yeah, well done, Laura. You're an inspiration to us all as we sit indoors. We do have one question from Cynthia. What is the easiest route last 100 miles for an older novice hiker first time on the Camino?
Yeah, so good question. Sorry, that's Cynthia, is it?
Yeah,
so good question, Cynthia. So I think, yes, the French way, Sarah Santiago. And the reason I say that is, like, all the routes will be undulating. So you'll always be moving up and down. But what we can do on the French way is, because there's so many services on that, you can shorten your walk to about 10 kilometers a day. Some days are shorter, some max maybe 12 kilometers. So, but the thing is, if you shorten your walking days, it's going to take you longer to do the walk, the 100 kilometers from Sarria to Santiago. So you can do it up to 10 or 12 days with shortened days. And that's probably the best option for somebody who wants to have shorter days while they're walking. But it does take longer to get there, so that's taken into account. And when you're booking your Camino and thinking about it, you can always take rest days. So you can pick places where you can stop and stay an extra night just to rest the legs, rest the feet. Obviously, the feet are very important because that's the vehicle to get you to where you're going to go. Yep, so that's it.
Great. Michelle asks, what happens along the way if you'd like to travel farther one day?
Well, if you've booked a package with us, obviously you booked the package with us, so you go your hotels and everything, and your walk is set. So you can't really, because the hotel is expecting you, and we can't change your booking. Now, if you book independently, you're booking directly, and you're staying in the hostels, and most of the hostels don't take bookings, so you have to arrive and then find a hostel and stay in it. That's really up to you how far you want to walk. And yes, and a lot of people think, yeah, I go out and I can hike 25, 30 kilometers. It's absolutely fine. I think when you're doing multiple days or consecutive days walking and hiking, you really got to think about what do I want from the Camino, or what am I trying to experience here? And it really is about, a lot of it is about slowing down or walking at your own pace and taking the pace off the Camino. So I think, for everybody, no matter how good or fit a hiker you are, or even a hill runner, or, a marathon runner, I think, the Camino really works at that average 20 kilometers per day. Now, there are some days which can get up to 30 kilometers on the, I suppose, the lesser walk sections. And that is challenging in a day, no matter how good you are. So, as I said, if you're booking a package with us, it is set. But if you're booking directly or independently, and you're kind of hoping to find your accommodation as you walk into places, you can obviously walk as far as you want in a day. Right. So I see there's more coming in there, so I have it up there. Yeah. Can you do shorter days on the Camino Norte? There are some days we can split. The best thing to do is have a look at our website. You'll see the options on that. So CaminoWays.com, just look for the No Other Way, or send us an email with your plan, and we can send you the best option that we can deliver. Obviously, if you are looking for specific kilometers per day, it is quite challenging to deliver that on the Camino, because it's all down to geography and the locations of the towns and locations of where the accommodation are, and we're kind of where we have to stick to that. But as I said, you've got to really think about that average of 20 kilometers a day. But as I said, some days can be as low as 14, 15 kilometers, but some days can be a little bit more. So it does kind of mix and match. You will find that as you walk, even from the third, fourth day, your body will fatten up very quickly, and you'll get stronger. I always say the second day, first half of the third day is really challenging, because your body's really, no matter how fit you are, your body's kind of going, what the hell's going on here? I'm not used to this. And that's when you get stiff and sore. But once you get beyond the third day, you really find yourself fitting up and getting into the rhythm.
Okay, I've replied to Lucy there about the Camino Pilgrim passport, and also the next question is from Lisa then. And we're just to let people know we are into the last 5 minutes. So if you have a question and we don't get to it, just type it here and we'll make sure to answer it back to you. Okay.
Yeah, so Lisa's asked a very good question. Living in a post-COVID world, still, what is the cancellation rescheduling policy? So during COVID and during the emergency, on a global level, travel companies adapted their cancellation policies to help people as best they can, while also protecting themselves and protecting their customers. Pretty much everything's returned to pre-COVID. So all travel companies had terms and conditions, as we do. And that has returned to that. So it looks like we're pretty much back to normal. We've had people walking the Camino since July of 2021. Sorry, I'm getting confused on days there. And we haven't really had any issues since then. So that's fantastic. We don't, obviously, if there's another emergency, but really we're back to normal now, back to our normal terms and conditions, which can be seen on our website. Again, if you go into website, and just at the top right hand corner there's a magnifying glass. Just type in terms and conditions or any other questions you may have on the Camino. We have 800 pages of information on that, so hopefully something will come up.
Vanessa, I think, is the last one.
Yes, Vanessa. So on the Portuguese coastal way, there are detours, for example, from Vigo to Rendonella. You can walk the Sadana, excuse my pronunciations, the Triada, the Angus. Do you provide maps and guides for people to follow? Include those less developed alternatives. Now, yes, there's a bit of an issue going on from Vigo to Rendonella at the moment, where a lot of it is on the road, I do have to say. And the route of the Camino obviously goes through a country. It's not, the route is traditional. It's not there to give people a scenic experience, if you like. It's a pilgrim route, therefore it follows a distinct path. And at some points that you will be walking on roads. It is something that the locale are looking into. So let's say the local government in Vigo, they're looking into upgrading the route. I would suggest you stay on the Camino route on that, because I suppose the other routes that are naturally appearing, they're not fully well marked. It is a little bit confusing moment. We are updating our maps for next year to ensure that people follow the correct route, and our maps are online. All our travel documents are online, and we will have a well marked route for your device when you get there. The route is well marked as well, but I would suggest you stick to the traditional Camino route.
That's great. Thank you very much, Jeremy. I've just put in the links to our email at info@CaminoWays.com, and also the link to our contact us form on our website. And you can also reach out to us on social media. So if you do have any questions in any stage of your planning journey, please do reach out. We are here to help, and we'll only be delighted to talk your ear off again. But as that is all the questions for here, and we're almost out of time according to my Zoom link, I just want to say thank you for joining us, and a special shout out to Laura, who is out for a walk or a run. Well done, and inspiration to the rest of us. But thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thank you very much. Don't hesitate to contact us. As Sarah said, we are offering a 10% discount if you book for 2023 now. That doesn't mean you have to pay full. You just need to pay a deposit and you get your 10% off. So we'll see you on the Camino soon. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye. Have a great evening.